Hey guys, so the topic of violence in video games has come up recently, again, comes up quite a lot, and this time it's because of the shootings that happened obviously, and people trying to link it in with that, and Obama and his cabinet subsequent attempts to pretend like he gives a shit, like talking about violence in video games is going to do anything at all to solve the problem of crazy people shooting people, right? But you know, maybe Obama needs to stop recruiting teenagers to go overseas to kill brown people for, you know, strategic oil purposes before he starts to pretend to give a shit about violence, okay? And you know, sociopathic tendencies, yes, because I think the US military is responsible for generating quite a lot of sociopathy and capitalising on it. But I already did a video on violence in video games a while back. It came up, yeah, well, earlier in the year, so I'm not going to go over everything I said in that video, but there's something that I want to say about it really, and that is that whilst I agree totally that there should be no restrictions on content in video games, and it is completely up to the parents to keep an eye on what their kids are playing if you're worried about obviously kids being exposed to violence in video games, I agree that they should be monitored and kept away from certain types of games, in the same way that you wouldn't let your 7-year-old watch an 18 rated film if you're a responsible parent. You know, I think, you know, a young mind certainly can be negatively affected by watching content that's not appropriate. I'm not arguing with that, but I do sometimes think that, you know, violence in video games is kind of a lazy option, and that, you know, developers really need to be looking at different ways of entertaining and that kind of thing. I mean, I know violence fits the medium of video games very well, you know, point shoot, and it's the mechanic of that just works really well, you know, and obviously the whole, you know, to make someone engaged in a gaming experience, you can't get much more engaged than when, you know, kind of your life's on the line, you know, when your very existence, your very survival is dependent on what you're doing in the game. So that's going to involve life or death situations. So of course violence just suits exciting situations. Violence lends itself to exciting situations which you want in games, so it's always going to be there, and I don't have a problem with it. But having said that, you know, I sometimes do consciously avoid violent games sometimes, depending on what mood I'm in, and I look for something else that's not violent. Obviously sometimes you just need to shoot some shit, and I like those games too, obviously. But yeah, even when it comes to like first-person shooters, I'll tend to go for something like Halo, which is slightly unreal, rather than, you know, your war games. They don't really appeal to me, or your Call of Duties and that kind of thing. I think it is to do with the fact that it's kind of quite very realistic, and I just really don't have that much desire to be in those kind of situations. But that's just me. But anyway, what I really wanted to talk about though was 3 examples of games that approached violence in a different way, and they're actually 3 of my favourite games, and I think that's a big part of why I like them as well. It's just a very original way of approaching violence in the games. Now obviously a lot of games don't have violence in them, you know, you've got your cute platformers, you've got your racing games, there's lots and lots of video games that don't have it in, but what I'm talking about is games that include violence but address it differently, treat it differently. And so these are the 3 games that I really love that treat violence in a different way. The first one is Splinter Cell. Now Splinter Cell, you can obviously kill your enemies, but the real aim of the game is to not kill anybody. I think I'm right in saying that you can complete the entire game without killing a single person. I'm not entirely sure about that, but I know that a lot of the levels depend upon you not killing someone. You have to get through the level without leaving any fatalities, casualties, whatever. So this game encourages you to think around violence, it encourages you to find alternative solutions, and it's a lot more fun when you do that. So Splinter Cell's the first one. Second one is Mirror's Edge. Now Mirror's Edge is all about, it's a parkour game basically. It's all about 3D platforming basically, you know, traversing your way around the levels, and it steers you away from violence to the point where the shooting mechanic is quite clumsy, so that doesn't help you. You know, obviously slows you down as well, and if you do get engaged in fights, then you're more likely to fail the level because you're more likely to get caught, and so your basic impetus is to avoid violent confrontations at any cost. So Mirror's Edge is the next one that I really love that treats violence in a different way. And the last one is Zone of Enders. Only just recently played this, but this game is awesome, really thought-provoking, and treats violence in a really it has a lot of respect for kind of life basically. And well, let me read you the back of it. It says, from the directors of Metal Gear Solid comes this story of a young boy trying to come to terms with his fear of death and loathing of killing. Only by facing his fears will he survive and realise his destiny. You are Leo. Take control and pilot a giant orbital frame using onboard computer Ada. Battle giant mechs in this fast and furious 3D action game. Along the way, teach Ada about love, loyalty and respect for life, whether that life is biological or digital. So I'm going to show you a couple of clips from this game as well that just kind of crystallises exactly what this game is trying to say about violence and about killing, and it's so unique that it makes you realise that all of the games that include battling and violence and killing just completely gloss over what it is that you're actually being asked to do. Obviously in a fantasy setting and all that kind of thing, most of us can separate fantasy and reality, that's okay, but yeah, the fact that this game gets you to think about that makes you realise that practically no other games do get you to think about the implications of violence. And so I'm going to show you some clips in a bit of Zone of Enders. So I'd be really happy to hear from you guys. Give me your top 3 games that you feel treat violence in a different way or have made you think about it in a different way. So that's it. If you want to see my other video that kind of goes into more depth about my feelings on violence in video games, that's in the low bar. Like I said, this topic comes up fairly often. But yeah, absolutely against censorship. It's completely down to parental responsibility to make sure kids aren't playing inappropriate games, but I do like it when developers approach violence from in a different way than just kill anything that moves. Although sometimes you do just want to kill anything that moves, and that's fine. It's just a game, baby. Alright guys, see you next one, bye bye.
The target has disappeared. I can detect no sign of vital activity.
You mean that everyone is dead?
That is correct. Good work, sir.
Ah!
You fought well. We're just asking for a little more of your help. Please.
I suppose you want me to kill again.
Well,
I want nothing more to do with any of you. Go kill or whatever you want. Just leave me out of it. I've got to be going.
then a lot more people will die.
What?
Everybody will die. Your friends, your family, every single one of them. We can't let them get a hold of Jehuti. If they do, it will be the end of this colony. No, it may be the end of civilization as we know it. You must, please, help us.
All right. I'll do it just this one time, but that's all I'll do.
Okay, that's all we ask.
All right, if you say so.
Thank you.
But I want you to remember one thing. I will never help you kill anybody. Maybe killing is all right for you people, but it's not with me.
I understand.
Confirmed ETR reaction from the target. Its main generator has ceased to function.
We did it.
I detect vital activity within the target. It appears that occupants are still alive. I am releasing the lock-on cursor. Target will be destroyed.
Destroy it? Why? They can't fight anymore.
Your question does not compute. Why not destroy it?
Why should I kill when there's no reason to?
I compute 17 clear reasons for such action. Most pressing is possibility of the target gaining access to another orbital frame and returning to battle at another time and place.
Shut up! I refuse to destroy it. What's the point of attacking those who have no intention of attacking us?
Do you wish me to state the reason?
Don't bother.
I have to conclude that your reaction is extremely illogical. Illogical actions by persons without sufficient capabilities make it very difficult to fulfill the mission.
You mean I'm not good enough to do this, so I should just shut up and obey orders?
That is the most sensible course.
So you say.
Target approaching limit of our range. 2 seconds remaining.
You may speak like a human, but you're still a heartless computer, aren't you?
That is correct. What is the problem?
Nothing. Forget it.